In the last 6 months, I have started more than 50 websites using basically mass AI content and a few basic link building strategies, which is basically allowing me to test out different websites and then heavily invest and scale the winners. This is because when you first start out on a project, sometimes projects will take off right away and do really well. Other times you get the duds. Whether it's a fresh domain, an expired domain, you never really know what's going to happen in those first 6 months. So I'm basically trying to take the venture capital model, and anytime there's a service business, a niche, a geography that takes my fancy, rather than thinking about it for 3 months, I just get the domain, get content on the domain, do a basic bit of link building, get it indexed, and then if I do decide to go into that niche in 3 months down the line, I've then got 3 months of age into that website, and it might actually be getting traction. So this is very much what I call minimum viable content. So I'm testing out different websites, different content, different niches, and then simply rewarding the winners. So that means this is the classic entrepreneurial disease I'm sure many of you will associate with, where focus is really difficult and distraction is the enemy. So you've got this idea, that idea. Loads of the clients who reach out to me have this same problem. So what I recommend is when you first get that idea, that inkling that you might want to start something, rather than thinking about it for 3 months and hesitating, or doing all the other admin that's involved, like building out the back end, just get content on a website, get a bit of link power in there, and just leave it. Because SEO, age is one of your best ranking factors when it comes to SEO. It doesn't matter how optimized your website is. You can shorten the time it takes to rank by building high quality links like we do in the agency. But even then, a 2-year-old website is much more, it's going to be in a much better position than a website that was started yesterday. So with 50 websites, I've now got content that's aging on all those domains, which then means any further SEO work I do, whether it's link building, content, anything else, the results are going to be much more impactful. So let me tell you how I do this. A few years ago, I read a book on domain investing, which is basically all based on SEO, where you want to find service businesses in certain locations with a high cost per click, which basically means if you were to try and use Google Ads to actually build a business like that, your ad cost would be extremely high. That tells you that that traffic is really valuable. So just to give you an idea, in every single survey, mesothelioma and asbestos lawyers consistently come up as one of the most expensive CPC, some of the highest ad costs out there. CPC of $90. So with Google Ads, every single click would cost $90. Quite vulnerable here and say that actually, although SEO has been the best thing for my career, it's also been very bad for my mental health and many others' mental health, I'm sure. I'm actually a medicated hypochondriac, health anxiety, almost a bit of contamination OCD. And that's largely because in the past, whenever I've had a fear, I do tend to Google it and therefore go down the rabbit hole. And asbestos anxiety is definitely one for that, largely caused by SEO. Because basically, if you Google anything about asbestos, you can see there's such a high value niche. Every single lead is so valuable. Therefore, there's some very aggressive marketing and very aggressive SEOs out there. And therefore, the information out there is always, you're in trouble. Make sure you call now to consult with one of our lawyers. So this gives you an example of that. But my point here today is that this is very valuable real estate on the search engines. And if you've got a keyword rich domain name, then it becomes much easier to actually rank for that keyword. So one example I always give of this is executive coach. So executive coaching, also a very valuable niche. Here the CPC is $6 per click, so it doesn't compare with mesothelioma. Remember, those costs are so high because these lawsuits are so significant, because you've got workers who have been exposed. It's often very tangible evidence. The asbestos exposure is the only known cause of mesothelioma, and therefore the success rate is very high with those cases and the tragic souls who have been affected. But in terms of keywords in domain name ranking, executive coach, fairly competitive. We've got DR, so the power of the domain, 92, 80, 81. But then we've got this little 21 here ranking, and that's because they've got executivecoach.net. Now, those are people who say that keyword-rich domains, that's an old black hat tactic from 10 years ago and doesn't work anymore. In reality, I'm seeing these in every single niche. Pretty much every search result I look at, there'll be a keyword-rich domain that's not got many links, but is ranking really well because of that. Main investing perspective, if I find a valuable keyword, like for instance a legal or a finance term, and the .com or the relevant location for that domain name, that market is available, then I'll quite often buy that exact match domain name. So I read this book a couple of years ago, and I basically mechanized it. I came up with a process for how I could do it at scale, and ended up registering hundreds of domain names, which initially was quite a hardship because I was going to flip them, and then I realized, why would I flip them when my skill set isn't SEO? I could turn these into really valuable websites, get the traffic, that's my skill set, and then monetize that traffic either through lead gen, selling the leads to relevant businesses, or even building affiliate businesses or service businesses on top of those domains. The big mistake I made with these domain names was deciding I was going to flip them, then realizing actually no, my skills in getting traffic, so I should just build them out. But of course, at the time, content costs were very high, so actually building a website in the first place, remember, it's quite hard to just rank a couple of pages. You really want to get some topical authority, get lots of content on there. So I'm just doing the maths and working out, if I've got several hundred domain names, if I just spend a couple of $100s on each one, we're still getting to a very significant cost. And remember, there's that concept of escape velocity, where if I took that cost and spread it across all those domains, probably not really going to get anywhere. Versus if I took that same cost and put it on just one or two and actually scaled them into something meaningful. But that all changed with AI, SEO, and ChatGPT. So I spent a good few months trying to work out how we were going to use ChatGPT in-house, especially for content writing. And the result was basically coming up with my perfect prompt. So basically everything we do with Surfer. So in the agency, even for our clients, every single page we write goes through Surfer with a minimum content score of 70. So this is a correlational SEO tool, which basically means that it looks at your top 10 competitors and gives you all the best practices required to rank. So I basically worked out my perfect prompt, and then I actually used that to build. I was on a flight to Mexico at the time to a conference, but whilst on the flight, I actually used ChatGPT to code this form where it'll take your keyword, the recommended Surfer word count, which will therefore give you the number of ChatGPT responses it will take based on the word limit, character limit, language, and then crucially the entities. That's where you basically copy all of these and then drop them in here, as well as Q&As. These are all the factors that give you that really high content score. And the result is, at the bottom of this spits out the perfect ChatGPT prompt. You then go to ChatGPT and you do keep writing until you get your full Surfer SEO template. The alternative is you can just use Surfer's own AI, which is actually really good. It's a bit more costly, but it does keep everything in one place and streamline it. So with this, I basically went to my team and said, I've got a stack of actually some pretty good domain names. We're talking high-ticket niches like attorneys, lawyers, contractors, software, all sorts. So I basically said, check all of these against Ahrefs, make sure the traffic is still there, the cost per click is still what it used to be, and what the competition is like. So are we actually likely to rank without having to invest that much in these domains? And basically what I said was every single domain, we want to get that live and have at least a basic page of Surfer optimized content on the homepage. Because remember, these are all exact match domain names. So the homepage should be keyword optimized because it'll be targeting a certain kind of contractor, a certain kind of insurance, something like that. So it's a keyword rich domain name. So the homepage, we want hyper optimized for a particular keyword. So this is an Ahrefs batch analysis, which basically means I go to my hosting account, copy all the domains, drop them into an Ahrefs batch analysis, and it will give me all these metrics of what's going on. And this is basically my regular check-in on these domains that we've just got basic AI content on. Now, the key things I look at are the keywords and the traffic, because these are mostly fresh domains. Sometimes I use expired domains, but these investment domains were all fresh. So therefore, they're starting off with a DR of 0. They have no links pointing at them unless they've been used before at some point, which most of them haven't. So they've got no domain rating, no links. So anything that happens is purely happening on the basis of content. So my regular check-in now is, like I say, we get this perfectly Surfer optimized page, which we've written with ChatGPT, put that on the website, on the domain, keep it with a really simple WordPress theme. So we're currently using Cadence, others like Generate Press, not worrying anything about design. These sites look terrible. And what we want to see is which sites are responding and getting rankings and which are not. So there's a few older sites here. So again, we're looking at keywords and traffic. Obviously, the higher DRs are more established sites. So let's go down to the bottom, which are newer sites, which have only been ranking for a certain period of time. So you can see here, we've got a 26 keywords ranking with a traffic of 3 and a DR of 0. Now, obviously, that's nothing. That's not a viable business by any means. But what this is telling me is we've got the same process for all these different domains, and some of them, nothing is happening. But then every now and then, we get a winner where we've got a spike in keywords, not getting any traffic, but there's a spike in keywords there, nothing happening there. 10 keywords here, so something seems to be going on there. And then we have something like this where we've got 26 keywords ranking and actually getting traffic. Very small traffic, but it means these are all high value niches. So it's not like we're ranking for some extreme long tail niche question that no one actually cares about. No one's going to buy anything. These are, like I say, finance, software, contractors, things like that. So any traffic at all already has some value. I think the minimum CPC I was looking at was about $10 per click. So you can see here, most of these are basically failures at this stage. But every now and then, we have a domain that has really taken off. And remember, we're keeping this really simple. This is just a page of content on a domain. No link building, no formatting. Well, there's the basic HTML headings, things like that, but no design. These sites look terrible. But when we start getting these additional keywords coming through, then we progress to phase 2, which is basically Google seems to like this domain. We're doing well here. So let's try and compound that success, and we can start working on things like off-page design, working out monetization opportunities. This one here, we've got 7 keywords coming through. That was a surprise. That's actually a French domain, because I have a friend who's it's got an e-commerce brand in France and basically wanted to come up with an affiliate program. So offered me a really good commission. So again, wasn't too sure if I wanted to go for this or not, but for the time being, I got a really good domain name, put a basic page of content on it, and set it aside just to see what was going to happen. And lo and behold, we've now got 7 keywords ranking, including that really good keyword that we were targeting. So I now know I've got authority, I've got trust in the fact that Google actually likes this domain, likes our content, so we can go away and start building that out. On the other hand, we've got loads of duds. So until those duds start doing something, I'm not bothered about scaling them. None of these are my primary project. But if you can imagine, if you take all these side businesses you've had in your head, what if you could test them all out at once on the side, very minimal effort, take 20 minutes to launch a site, put content on it, and then just leave it, and it's going to cost less than $20. And then in 6 months' time to a year, maybe you've got a bit of free time and you start looking into it, and you realize the 3 to 4 ideas you had that are actually working, starting to get traffic, and now you've got some consensus those are actually going to work, and you can just spin off or ignore the rest. So here's a domain I don't really mind sharing: holiday lodge insurance. I don't think that's a great revenue opportunity. But this is what all these sites look like. So this is the Cadence theme, basic heading, and then optimized content. It is really well optimized in Surfer, but that's it. Sometimes we'll go a step further and put more related content out there to build up the topical cluster, the topical authority, because Google's much more likely to reward a site that is like the Wikipedia of a niche and covers everything, rather than a site that's only got one page. But remember, here we're doing minimum viable content. It's just one page of content on a good domain, no link building, no topical authority. Let's just see what happens. Here's another really successful one. I don't mind sharing this one because actually the lead quality is very low. I've worked in this niche before. Short-term house insurance, most people are only looking for a couple of days, so it's not really worth most insurers picking up the phone, never mind anything else. But I thought I'd grab it a couple of years ago anyway, and that's when the ones we'd built hasn't even got SSL properly set up, so it's triggering that warning on Chrome. But if I look at the keywords, main keyword, short-term house insurance, still got a cost per click of $7.60. So it's probably still a good way for me to actually monetize this site for the right business. So, and that's at position 16, so page 2 of Google. All the variations popping up as well. So you absolutely do not need a perfect website in order to rank on Google. But technically, these sites are really good. They load fast. The SEO is on point. All the optimization is on the page. So then the next step is the off page. So when we've got some uptick, one of the first things I tend to do is build some citations, which are basically cheap listings in local business directories. So what I use, and a lot of people in the industry use and recommend, is SEObuilder.com. You can go through all the business listings yourself, but why would you do that to yourself? So $100, $200. A citation doesn't actually have to include a link to your site. It just needs to mention the business name, which just gives some legitimacy to Google that you're an actual business, even though these sites aren't. But you can get a load of links that way as well. And there's also the description, which gives some context. That gets spun, so it gets rewritten basically for every citation. So that's one reason these ones stick a bit better. And they get indexed as well. So that's just a very easy way to build up a bit more power. But also trust as well. Citations are a big ranking factor for Google business listings. So any of these domains I've got, which are local domains where I might actually want to get a Google business listing for them, then getting those citations with the name, address, and phone number distributed across the internet will help that business listing rank. Now, when we do hit upon a winner, that's when we start actually investing in that project. So again, this is a high ticket insurance niche. We're now getting 102 traffic per month with a value of $279 and with a DR of 10. So we did the citations, but now we've actually started doing the high quality link building that we do in-house in the agency. Remember, we reject 90% of the sites we could build links on because we've got a lengthy screening process to make sure every link we build is actually going to move the needle. So only 22 links. Most of those will actually be the citations, but we've got a DR of 10 and we are getting some serious rankings. Now, at the same time, we then head over to autoblogging.ai and we fully explore this niche to work out what's everything we should be covering in order to create the true topical map so that we can achieve topical authority on this niche. The idea is still to be a micro niche site where basically we're still operating in a very narrow focus, but even for a micro niche site, there's probably, chances are, still a good 20 to 50 other pages you could include on that website so that you truly become the true hub of content for that particular niche. So we just go to autoblogging.ai, blast out that content in an afternoon. I've got a lengthy case study on that separately on my channel. But the important thing there is, again, it's still minimum viable content. So basic domain, server optimized content on the homepage. When it starts to rank, then we'll do citations, then we'll start doing actual links, and we do autoblogging.ai content. When the autoblogging AI content starts ranking, then that's when we'll actually go in and actually improve that content with human writers so that that's actually a really good site that is actually fit for human eyes, basically. And that's probably at the point where, at the same time, we'll also get a designer on it and turn it into a really good looking website. And that's when we know we're actually ready to scale. So that's where we'll do high quality link building and explore monetization options and fix all the other issues that we've had with the site to turn it into a proper website. But by that point, the main content and the main homepage has probably been aged for about 3 to 6 months while I've been busy with other things. So I've turned this dead domain that isn't going to do anything for 6 months into an actual living, breathing website that Google is clearly rewarding. Google likes this site and we have that data. Whereas when you first launch a site, you don't really know what's going to happen. There's a big unknown. So I've launched 50 websites, identified the winners, and now I can scale those winners. Exactly what's going on with this domain that's actually going to be a local service business. So lots of people in the SEO industry were all getting a bit nervous about AI. So one of my little insurance policies I've been working on is basically starting more sort of bricks and mortar businesses, which are actually just generally more difficult for people to start. But again, I wasn't going to get the contractors, get the scheduling system sorted, all of that, the booking system. First of all, can I get traffic? Can I get leads in? And once we get leads in, then we know we can scale it. And that is exactly what's happened. This was a exact match domain, exactly as I've shown you, plain content on the homepage, did the citations, and it ranked number 3 for the target keyword within about 3 weeks of actually launching. So this was really powerful. It's actually subsided a bit since then, but in the meantime, I've gone away. So we can rank this. I'm on page 1. I can fulfill, or rather, I can get the traffic. Now we need to fulfill it. So that's when I went away, got the staff, starting the scheduling system, and then we're going to rank the Google business listing for that keyword as well. But it all started off with just getting that one page of content ranking on that domain and getting that proof that we can get on page one, we can get the leads. Now let's build a business for it.